I, female 55, had been married to my husband, 60, for 20 years before he died. It was cancer. He had 2 kids from a past marriage who were in their early teens when he married me. I had a pre-tween from an earlier relationship as well. We didn't have any more kids. I tried to treat my stepchildren as my own, but they never accepted me. They were rude and insulted me whenever they could. Since I didn't work, they called me a gold digger who married their dad only for his money. My grandparents were quite wealthy and left me a lot of money when they died. I live well below my means and chose to stay home and raise my daughter since I could afford that. I didn't need his money at all, but I didn't bother sharing this with his kids and told him not to either. I didn't want them to like me just because they might gain monetarily from me. On the other hand, my husband hated how they behaved with me. Their blatant disrespect made him not pay for their college tuition. Their mom couldn't pay for it, so they had to take loans. They didn't even talk to him. Even when he got cancer, they refused to come see him. For 3 years, we struggled with the treatment. My daughter came to visit from time to time when she could. During this time, the only person who really helped us was someone we weren't related to. This girl in her late 20s waitressed at a cafe we frequented. She was a single mom taking classes at community college at night, working during the day and raising her 2 kids. She took a liking to us, and when she learned my husband was sick, she spent whatever time she could visit him. She'd stayed nights at the hospital when I needed a break and was the daughter we wished for. When he died, she helped me arrange the funeral. His kids came on the day and they only wanted to know about their inheritance. I felt sick. When I learned my husband had left his estate to me, whatever was left after settling his bills, and it was around $25,000. His treatment and care ate up a lot of money. I decided to give it to the girl who helped us both so much. She tried to refuse, but I insisted she take it. She needed it and, in my opinion, deserved it more than the ungrateful children. My daughter understands why I didn't give it to his children, but is upset I didn't give anything to her. I told her she already had money and a job. Not to mention she'll get my inheritance. This was in no way her money, but his ex-wife and kids are causing havoc over this and are really upset with me. They're calling me an idiot for giving away money they deserve. Am I the idiot for giving my late husband's estate to a stranger instead of his kids? Edit, there was no affair. We did know each other. He was my friend's brother's best friend. We used to see each other at their get-togethers and stuff. We started dating 2 years after his divorce. Not the idiot. First of all, an estate of $25,000 is minimal. It's not the size of an estate that people normally ask about or fight over. Surprisingly, your children and your stepchildren were expecting some windfall when your husband's total net worth was $25,000. Were they under the impression that your husband had money? If your husband wanted his kids or your kids to have his estate, he would have left it to them. But he wanted you to have it, and you were well within your right and the moral high ground to gift it to someone who influenced your life and for whom it may be life-changing. You'd be surprised how many people fight about money, even when it's a smaller amount than $25,000. It's sad but true. One example that stands out is a distant friend's family, 4 beneficiaries, fighting over a $500 gift in the will. They each fought over $125. It cost them more in legal fees to fight over it. The pettiness of it all will stick with me for a long time. OP, I'm sorry for your loss. Seems like that waitress was more family by choice than those awful stepkids were by blood. Sounds like they were the true gold diggers. I disagree. I think you and your husband didn't do a great job of integrating families and then blamed his kids for not accepting you. They probably parroted what they heard elsewhere, and he and you did nothing to improve that. His relationship with them sounds very transactional. He refused to pay for college because he was angry, and they pulled back. I'm not saying he should have ignored it, but your description of his kids as money grubbing while not seeing your own daughter that way, despite her argument that she should have gotten his money, gives a negative picture of your attitude towards them. So while you're not wrong for giving money to the young woman who supported you both, you and your husband are to blame for this family dynamic in the first place. Yep, I could have cleared up a reasonable if small-minded misconception my stepkids had about me as young teenagers, but I refused, leading to the destruction of my husband's relationship with his kids. But as that wasn't enough, I got an even more petty revenge years later after he died. Aren't I sweet? No, you are the idiot. They were kids to young adults, but you were the adult. You could have handled this better in 1,000 ways instead of being a tawdry dime store Cersei Lannister. Gross. My daughter, Alexandra, teen, hates any shortened version of her name. This has gone on since she was about 10. The family respects it, and she's pretty good about advocating for herself should someone call her Lexi, Alex, etc. She also hates when people get her name wrong and just wants to be called Alexandra. She took Spanish in middle school. The teacher wanted to call all students by the Spanish version of their name, provided there was one. So she tried to call Alexandra Alejandra. Alexandra corrected her, and the teacher respected it. She had the same teacher for all 3 years of middle school, so it wasn't an issue. Now she's in high school and is still taking Spanish. Once again, the new teacher announced if a student had a Spanish version of their name, she'd call them that. So she called Alexandra Alejandra. Alexandra corrected her, but the teacher ignored her. My daughter came home upset after the second week. I'm not the type of mom to write emails, but I felt I had to in this case. If it matters, this teacher is not Hispanic herself, so this isn't a pronunciation issue. Her argument is, if these kids ever went to a Spanish-speaking country, they'd be called by that name. I found this excuse weak as the middle school Spanish teacher was actually Hispanic and had come here from a Spanish-speaking country, and she respected Alexandra's wishes. The teacher tried to dig her heels in, but I said if it wasn't that big a deal in her eyes that she calls her Alejandra, why is it such a big deal to call her Alexandra? Eventually, she gave in. Alexandra confirmed that her teacher was calling her by her proper name. My husband feels I blew this out of proportion and Alexandra could have sucked it up for a year. The school has 3 different Spanish teachers, so odds are she could get another one her sophomore year. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. The teacher has done nothing wrong. Converting names in a foreign language class is a common thing, even when it's a complete swap like Etienne Stephen in French class. It's not a personal attack or disrespect right off the bat. The middle school Spanish teacher probably gave in because it's not worth the hassle of dealing with parents who think every kid's demand must be met. Which is what this high school teacher probably should have done for their own sanity. Your husband's right that you and Alexandra are overreacting to the situation. Your email isn't going to help either. Dude, you missed the part where the teacher is not calling all the students by a Spanish name. I don't agree that some students should be singled out while others are still being referred to by their given names. Also, her logic also makes no sense. I work with a large number of European colleagues. I don't pronounce their names in my accent and they don't pronounce my name in theirs. We all call each other the name as it's introduced to us. Not the idiot, OP. Her argument is if these kids ever went to a Spanish-speaking country, they'd be called by that name. What? That's not true and quite stupid. We don't translate names. John can be John in any country. No one would call him Hans, Juan or Giovanni against his will just because there's a local version of his name. The fact is that once someone tells you what they like to be called, it's a tool move to call them otherwise. She's not asking to be called Beyoncé or Cookie, she wants to be referred to by her birth name. It's a shame Dad doesn't have her back as well. I really thought this rich, childless aunt was just for reels and TikToks to make fun. Like an over-exaggerated character, but I, female 41, have noticed that my family has been treating me as such more and more, and I don't know how to feel about it. My partner and I are never the centre of any attention, even if it's something that has to do with us. When we got engaged, my brother was late to the party because he had children. I remember being 20 minutes late once for one of the kids' birthday parties because I had work and was reprimanded for being disrespectful. Our wedding won't be child-free because we're not as important as the children. Remember that they all had child-free weddings, even the ones with children, because they needed a break from being parents on their special day. We're always expected to babysit any time, any day, because we don't have children, so we can't complain. If I say I don't want to, I get asked, what are you going to do with your life day in, day out without any meaning or purpose? We are always expected to buy the most expensive gifts on each kid's list. My partner and I are well off and we always hear that we don't have real expenses like them. My nieces already believe that my possessions, like jewellery and designer stuff, are theirs because they will inherit from me anyway. Am I overthinking it? This is not coming from only one or two, but from both sides of the family. My 2 siblings and my partner's 3 siblings. I have the feeling that they think I'm not as worthy, not an equal. My life is less valid. I've started to resent it. I feel like I need to take care of more children than any parents I know because at least parents are only expected to take care of their children. I've spoken to my partner about these feelings, especially after our engagement party that people were late to and nobody even cared about us. I told him I don't want to be the rich, childless aunt anymore. He wasn't feeling the same disgust, but he did understand me. Would I be the idiot if I put a stop to this? I'm child-free for a reason. I think children are exhausting. Nothing to do with love. I love my nephews and nieces to bits. I don't want to babysit. I don't want my life to be about them. I don't want my wedding to be about them, and I don't want my death to be about them. I've always done charity work, and I intend to leave everything to charity. My partner was so appalled by my decision, but I told him that he could leave his money to the family and that I wasn't making him donate anything. He's very upset because I'm the one with the real fortune. Not the idiot. It sounds like you've let this go on way too long, but it's not too late to fix it. I do exactly what you suggested. Opt out of childcare, make the wedding child free, and donate your fortune as you see fit. It's yours. And get a prenup while you're at it. Just my 2 cents. Darling, you need to talk to your family. Ask them if they have a problem with your choice to not have children. The passive-aggressive crap, well actually it's just aggressive, LOL, has got to stop. Have you considered moving somewhere further away? That would cut down on 90% of the harassment. I had a procedure done 4 years ago. My mom found out and she told everyone. Until then, they all thought I would change my mind or that I had medical problems that prohibited me from conceiving. Since that day, my mother never spoke to me, and I guess the rest started treating me like a free nanny and an ATM because my life wasn't worth as much. I hear that my life is meaningless and empty all the time, especially when they need a babysitter. I dream about moving away all the time. My partner doesn't want that, however. Meaningless and empty. Wow, that's beyond rude. You need to just block these people all the way out of your life. Seriously, do yourself a favor and cut them out. They're using you, and you have no value in their eyes except for what you can do for or give them. Stop babysitting. Have a child-free wedding. Donate everything you want to any charity you want if that's what you want to do. Your nieces aren't entitled to any of your belongings, nor is your family. You could have thought about leaving something for them in a will, but since they treat you this poorly, I advise you against it. Don't reward poor behavior. How sure are you that your partner isn't secretly hoping you'll change your mind about kids too? The combination of him not standing up for you, being upset at your desire to donate all your money to charity, and not being willing to move away from this BS is concerning. I'm always a super worst case scenario person, but would he go as low as to sabotage your birth control? He seems like a greedy goblin, and I bet it's his nieces who look at your things with greedy goblin eyes. My brother is a deadbeat dad to 2 of his kids, his oldest 2 sons. He abandoned his ex and went out of his way to ensure she didn't get child support out of him. By the time his oldest would be old enough to start figuring crap out, she moved so they could have a fresh start and not worry about possibly finding out how much he didn't want to be their dad. She also cut me out of their lives, which I got. After all, I was the younger brother of the guy giving her and her kids the middle finger after creating both kids, so I'm probably not someone to fully trust. The boys and I have contact now that they're both adults. My brother isn't aware of this. We're mostly estranged and I don't think highly of him. I'm a single dad and would never abandon my kids. My brother got married 5 years after he abandoned his sons. His wife wanted to meet me when they got engaged and made a big deal out of us not being close and me saying no to meet her several times. She pushed me on why and I said I didn't respect deadbeat parents. She said he wasn't a deadbeat and his ex kept him away from the kids. I told her that was a lie and he'd gone out of his way to sever his obligations to those boys. She didn't believe me. I told her I was present during fights between him and his ex. I'd heard him say he didn't give a crap about those boys. She dismissed what I said. They got married and now they have some kids together. I don't even know how many for sure. A few weeks ago, she reached out to me and said my brother had admitted to abandoning his older sons and made sure she never got a cent from him. She was saying how wrong that was, but now that she knows, she feels like the kids should all meet and she'll find the boys and tell them they need to meet their siblings. I asked, "Are you serious?" and told her she shouldn't track down the kids he abandoned to tell them they needed to meet the kids he didn't abandon. She defended what she wanted and said her kids deserved to know them and 2 grown men should want to know their family. I told her she had no business interfering in this when it had nothing to do with her. I reminded her that kids are related biologically, but leave it for them to decide in the future. Do not try rubbing this in their faces. She doesn't know that my nephews already know my brother had more kids. They don't care. They've said they will never want a relationship with them. She said it has everything to do with her and I'm being an idiot. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your brother's wife is really overstepping on this. She should be worried that her husband lied to her concerning what happened with his first marriage and his children because, sure as crap, He'll do the same thing to her if given a chance. These two grown nephews have nothing to gain by befriending their sperm donor's current kids. Yeah, she's hoping she can get the sons her deadbeat husband abandoned to play happy families with her kids. She can carry on with her "he won't do it to our kids" Delulu fantasy. If she wants to keep living in La La Land, that's her issue, not OP's nephew's problem. She was warned she was marrying a deadbeat, but the rose-tinted glasses were too strong. Nailed it. She's trying to fix her husband's mistake so that somehow it'll rub off on him and prevent him from doing it again. In that sense, and only in that sense, does it have everything to do with her. OP has my respect for seeing through this request as selfish and protecting his nephews from this dumpster fire she's trying to light. When this all blows up in her face, and it will, you can tell her that you tried to warn her to stay out of it.